and welcome to Actuary Voices, the podcast from the American Academy of Actuaries. I'm David Nolan. Today, I'm handing over the reins to Academy President Lisa Slotznick and our Executive Director, Bill Michalisin, who will be discussing the Academy's priorities for 2024. Lisa, Bill, welcome to Actuary Voices.
Lisa, hi. It's great to be with you today. I just wanted to say first, congratulations on your presidency.
Well, thank you very much.
What are you most excited about as president in the year ahead?
Well, it's hard to choose what I'm most excited about for my presidential year. I look forward to lots of activity. I'll be participating in outreach to Academy members, meetings with leaders of other actuarial organizations, and meetings with our stakeholders. I'll be in a position to listen to their thoughts about the Academy, as well as to let them know the great work that actuaries do and that the Academy does, and therefore the value of Academy membership.
That's great. You know, one thing I noticed is that many presidents of the American Academy of Actuaries have a theme or a focus for their year. What would you say is yours for the year ahead?
Well, first of all, I view my role as president to be a steward of the ongoing good work of the Academy. But my focus is in articulating the value of Academy membership, which has a lot of components. The value to ourselves as individuals, our value as actuaries to employers, as well as to the public. Always keeping in mind that the Academy's mission is to serve the public and the actuarial profession in the U.S. That's the focus. There is value in membership in the Academy and value in volunteering for the Academy to enhance that value. And our membership means that we're competent to practice in the U.S., adhering to the Code of Professional Conduct.
I really like that focus on value, conveying that value to members, prospective members, as well as the employers that employ all of our members.
What about you? What are the Academy's organizational priorities? The recent issue of Contingencies provided great content and insight for our members around the priorities and what the different staff members do.
Yeah, that's a great article. And I love the fact that you mentioned contingencies. You know, in this most recent issue, we had the article where the council VPs talked about the practice area priorities. And then myself, as well as the senior leadership for the Academy, talked a great deal around the priorities for the year ahead. And I would say the Academy is off to a strong start this year. And that article reinforces that momentum as well as that focus. I'd like to call out a few initiatives we are focused on this year. Enhancing member and employer value tops the list. You mentioned value. We're very much focused on value initiatives. That focus on articulating the importance and the meaning of being a member of the American Academy of Actuaries and what that credential MAAA stands for. Growing the pipeline into the profession and specifically growing membership in the Academy, as well as greater engagement amongst our volunteers. Our volunteers are the lifeblood of this organization, and we want to see that growing, as well as opening up capacity and opportunities for more volunteers to get involved, whether that be long-term or short-term. Deepening our engagement as far as education offerings, not only on professionalism topics, but also expanding the reach of our public policy efforts and making sure more members understand the importance of our public policy efforts, but what it actually means and the impact it has on our stakeholders that we serve. I'd also like to say collaboration with the other organizations is important to us, not only for the actuarial organizations that we partner with, but also other stakeholder organizations that we work with to support, whether that be from a public policy effort or other professionalism opportunities as far as education and speaking opportunities. And that's really important, not only for the current actuaries, but also future actuaries that are considering the profession. Reinforcing our role and the importance of that role as the stewards of professionalism is important, particularly in the United States, and for ensuring our many stakeholders understand the policy issues that are impacting them, and particularly where there's an actuarial perspective that is needed, and we can play that role there. And lastly, I'd say ensuring the organization itself continues to evolve and innovate to meet the needs of our current and future members, as well as the talented staff working to serve those various stakeholders. As you can imagine in here, there's a lot going on at the Academy, but I think it's an exciting time to be part of the Academy.
Wow. Well, you're going to keep yourself busy, and the Academy is going to keep itself busy, and anyone involved will be.
Definitely. And I'd say the board's quite busy. The board's been focusing a great deal on reinforcing member value, which was also a focus of your inaugural president's message. So I'd like to take a moment to reimagine yourself as a regular, somewhat new member of the Academy. What did you feel was the value of membership?
Well, when I was a new actuary and first became a member of the Academy, I felt special. My bosses up to that point had made a big deal of their Academy membership and the fact that it had meaning over and above the core credential. As a new Academy member, being an MAAA reflected on me. Having the letters after my name when I signed something means a lot, both then and now. That will convey to others that I have more than a credential, more than just a passage of exams, but that I have a competency to practice in a professional manner in the U.S. And even though I've learned a lot through the credentialing process, there was experience associated with that as well. In turn, that made me feel valuable. My younger self may not have known how significant it was to my employer that being an Academy member meant that my work was performed competently, and that because of that, it would reduce the number of errors, it would reduce financial losses, it would reduce lawsuits, and any bad publicity that could result from bad work. As an actuary, not just as an Academy member, I always wanted to do my best, and most actuaries do. But having that stamp of approval that the MAAA confers just lets the world and my employer know that it's all baked in. While I would love that Academy membership meant that I could do every single actuarial task that there is, and I did work hard for my particular credential, I'm aware that under Precept 2 of the Code of Professional Conduct, I need to be qualified and can't do everything. But as a new member of the Academy today, not back in my day when there was no website, I would be excited to navigate around the website of the Academy and see the many work products that the Academy produces.
And after many years as an Academy member, what would you say to actuaries when they ask the question, why should I join the Academy?
Oh, one thing that as a new member that I was not aware of, but want actuaries to know, and that it's part of the value of membership, is the public policy work the Academy does. While the actuarial profession in the U.S. is self-regulated, the work products that actuaries produce are often required by law or regulation, or in some cases must include particular components or outcomes specified by law or regulation. Academy staff and volunteers monitor potential changes in laws and regulation, and they do provide input to the rulemaking process to make sure that the rules are consistent with solid actuarial practice. In addition, Academy volunteers do provide education through webinars, seminars, and practice notes for actuaries on how to comply with these regulations. Practice notes might seem more like a tool for actuaries rather than public policy work, but it really is public policy work because we are trying to help provide the regulators with understandable, appropriate, and solid actuarial work products. The practice notes educate actuaries on how to do this. For a number of new actuaries, these practice notes will be familiar because it's part of what they use in their day-to-day work, or it might even be covered in their exam syllabus. Beyond the nuts and bolts of current actuarial work products, the Academy volunteers provide insights through comment letters, white papers, issue briefs, and sometimes testimony into the practicality, reasonability, and actuarial issues associated with alternative government programs or laws and regs. Some of the work products, while produced by a particular practice area, are great for the U.S. actuary to be more knowledgeable about U.S. issues that impact the general public, like taking the Social Security challenge, which is from the retirement pension practice area, reading about funding issues of Medicare from the health practice area, understanding about flood insurance or wildfires from the casualty practice area, are looking at life underwriting and unfair discrimination issues from the life practice area.
There really is a rich library and catalog of content and resources available to members as well as stakeholders looking to be perhaps more informed on issues impacting them, so in reality they can make better decisions. And I wonder sometimes whether or not members are really fully aware of all those resources. So it's really great that you highlighted those. I think public policy is an area that a lot of members are interested in. It's particularly an area that volunteers are passionate about, and it truly complements the richness in our professionals and resources as well. So thank you for that. We recently shared background information on the competency framework used by the Academy to really reinforce the knowledge an actuary should have in order to become an Academy member. Is there anything you would like to share with the members and stakeholders on the framework and the competencies included in that framework?
As I described in my first President's Message in the January and February issue of Contingencies, the Academy has continually reviewed its membership requirements to make sure that Academy members are competent to practice in the U.S. Over the years, the way we have measured the membership requirements has considered a general focus on actuarial competencies, with the specifics varying by practice area. We recognize that the syllabus of the U.S. credentialing organizations do change over time, calling for the Academy to reconfirm the requirements of membership. The Committee on Education has been working on documenting an up-to-date, what we're calling competency framework for U.S. actuaries that is general enough not to need to be updated with all changes that come along, but that the Academy can use to judge whether the current syllabus of an actuarial organization is providing sufficient training for an actuary to be competent to practice in the U.S. More to come about the specifics of the competency framework and any resulting adjustments to Academy membership requirements. Keep in mind that continuing education is a key feature for actuaries as we go through our core credentialing process only once. As the executive director, you engage with members and employers all the time. What do you, the members and employers, emphasize in these interactions about membership in the Academy, as well as the value of membership?
It's a great question. That is one of the many great things about this role, is that opportunity to engage with members and employers of members. I believe that direct contact and engagement is how we stay relevant as an organization and are better positioned to fulfill our mission to serve the public and the U.S. actuarial profession. It all starts with understanding the needs and concerns of our members and the employers, and how best to address them with enhanced resources, benefits, and opportunities to engage and share knowledge. You can imagine there are plenty of discussion points in those conversations. I would like to highlight a few of those, though, today. One is the importance of professionalism and the important role the Academy plays on behalf of the U.S. actuarial community, including providing resources and guidance, as well as awareness among public stakeholders for such things as the code of conduct, standards of practice, qualification standards, the counseling and disciplining process, and the importance of continuing education and self-regulation. You mentioned and highlighted a number of those, and I think that's something that our members need to always be reminded of, and it's something the employer groups have continued to mention as important to them. Another is recognition of the MAAA among regulators and legislators, and an understanding of the competencies they can rely on when they see that credential behind someone's name. Given the MAA is recognized in over 1,400 state and federal laws and regulations, this is critical to reinforce and communicate, not only to our members as well as prospects, but also to the many public stakeholders that we engage with. The impact of the Academy's public policy work is another, and the value and opportunity it provides our members and volunteers to give back and be active leaders in serving a public good, helping decision makers be more informed of the issues with the intent that it all leads to better decisions for all of the public, including ourselves. Lastly, I'd say resources for members. to aid them in their roles as actuaries, as well as opportunities for input and discussion on issues impacting their profession as well as themselves. Members and employers, they want to engage and share their perspective, and the Academy is a resource for them. That engagement is key to our ongoing success and that ability to add value to our many stakeholders in a balanced and objective way.
When you talk to all the different people you do, members and employers, that those are critical items, particularly that number of over 1,400 mentions in laws and regs.
Yes, and they're very passionate about the profession, which is great. And as a staff leader, that kind of passion is contagious, and it's something that all staff really benefits from hearing and feeling.
Let me take a moment to remind listeners that you're listening to Actuary Voices, the podcast from the American Academy of Actuaries. On this podcast, we talk to Academy volunteers and leaders, as well as friends of the Academy, about what inspires them about their work, either professionally or as an Academy volunteer. Please subscribe to Actuary Voices on your preferred podcast platform. And now, back to our conversation between Academy President Lisa Slotznick and our Executive Director, Bill Michaelson.
Prior to your presidency, you were vice chair of the Committee on Qualifications. What do you feel is the importance of the U.S. qualification standards, and what do you want actuaries to know about them?
Well, under the Code of Professional Conduct, Precept 2, and paraphrasing here, we should only do what we're qualified to do. Most of us have a sense of the right thing to do under that precept of how to recognize whether we're qualified. But the U.S. qualification standards codifies it for us and gives us guardrails for what it means to be qualified. And that helps us keep in mind that as actuaries, we need to have basic education, experience, knowledge of U.S. practice, and specific knowledge related to the specific assignment or project that we're working on relative to whether we're qualified to do that work. In addition, we all know that actuarial practice evolves, laws and regulations change, and there are additional areas for us to think about when we do our work. The USQS provides guidance for us for how much continuing education, as well as its distribution of the continuing education by professionalism, bias, and organized activities, is a recommended baseline and required baseline for us to have to maintain our competency.
Yes, and it's also important to note that the USQS is recognized by many regulators and legislators as a baseline that all actuaries should aspire to become. Not all members of the Academy are necessarily qualified, and the USQS provides that guidance, as you shared. You have certainly been a committed and active volunteer over the years as a board member, VP of the Casualty Council, member of the COQ, and more. Most recently, you were chair of the Climate Change Committee. Can you share your perspective on the Academy's public policy work and how that benefits the profession?
Well, let's first define some of the form that our public policy work takes. It can take the form of direct communication through attendance at NAIC meetings and interaction with those regulators, as well as what we call Hill visits, where we're meeting with congressional staffers and federal agency stakeholders. In addition, we write a lot of things. We write all these public policy documents, whether they're comment letters, issue briefs, white papers, webinars, and practice notes. Often the written manifestation of our public policy work directly benefits our ability to do our own work. To the extent that we can use this documentation to influence regulations and rules, that further strengthens the ability of actuaries to do their work well. But beyond the self-interest of the impact on our day-to-day work products, by providing public policy commentary that's not aligned just with how to do an actuarial project, we demonstrate that actuaries are broader than just number crunchers. We care about the systems that we are a part of, and thus we enhance the reputation of actuaries. So, what would you say is the value and importance of volunteers to the Academy?
I'm really glad you asked me that. Volunteers, to me, are the lifeblood of this organization, Hard Stop. Annually, we produce over 300 work products in multiple education forms across many channels, from ASOPs and practice notes, comment letters and insightful articles, seminars and symposia. And the volunteers are the driving force behind all of that. Over 1,000 volunteers work with the Academy staff to fulfill our mission to serve and deliver value to the public and the U.S. actuarial profession. I like to say volunteering, like membership, is an investment in yourself and the profession you love. It's that passion for the actuarial community that really makes all this possible. And our volunteers, they bring it every day. That passion never subsides. And really for staff, like I mentioned earlier, it's contagious. It just reinforces the importance of the work we do at the Academy, the contributions we make for society broadly, and how volunteering is something all members should consider doing. And from a staff perspective, that's something that we talk a lot to students about, how you can really develop a lifelong career as an actuary, but you can make an impact. You have the opportunity, regardless of the practice area you choose, to really see how your work makes an impact to the broader society. And that, as a staff person, that's rewarding.
Wow. So you're talking about the rewards as well as the physical products that the volunteers put out.
Definitely.
There's a lot there.
We're a busy group. If you were talking to new or existing members considering volunteering with the Academy, what advice would you share with them? Why should members get involved as volunteers?
Well, the benefits of volunteering for the Academy accrue to the individual, to the profession, and to the U.S. financial system. Volunteering is not only a way to give back, and that's the words we often hear about volunteering, but it's also a way to be surrounded by other committed volunteers and developing a community of other actuaries to discuss issues with as well as to interact with. Okay, that might sound like networking, so that sounds like a definite benefit. But there is an additional sense of being part of the profession that comes through volunteering with others. And outside of that touchy-feely aspect of volunteering, it's a way to further develop ourselves. We're learning more content. We're also gaining experience of working in teams with multiple roles, of being a team member and a team leader, as well as a way to expand into new areas. You mentioned the tremendous amount of output of Academy volunteers, that 300 documents and webinars that came out last year. That sense of accomplishment when a volunteer project is complete is an additional part of the satisfaction of being a volunteer. For me, after years of volunteering in my own practice area within the Casualty Practice Council, I particularly now enjoy getting to know other practice areas and working in cross-practice groups and getting to learn what the overlaps are and how we can work together.
It really is fascinating to gain an appreciation for the depth of knowledge and expertise at the practice level, whether it's retirement, casualty, life, health, risk management, financial reporting. Yet there's also the cross-practice issues and topics that we get into. The collaboration across those practice councils grows even greater when you have those cross-practice issues. And it's just fascinating to watch the actuaries not only apply their knowledge within their practice areas, but also work collaboratively across those lines, to really provide insightful products. So it's really great work to see.
Yes, and we can't do it without staff. They have a lot of input and involvement in all of the volunteer output that we've been talking about. What is the experience like from a staff perspective?
I'm glad you mentioned the staff. I like to say that we have the best staff in the association space. And I think it goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the importance of making an impact, right? Making that difference. All of us want to ensure that what we do matters and that it benefits a broader population, whether that be for our over 20,000 members, our many employer groups, state and federal lawmakers and regulators, supranational organizations, And the public living their lives here in the US, the work we do achieves that. It really does matter. Staff work side by side with members who choose to give back to the profession and the mission of the Academy. As a result, there's a great deal of learning and knowledge sharing from the volunteers, but also from the staff. Staff learn from our members and stakeholders, and they themselves learn from our staff who bring their own deep expertise as association and policy professionals to make a difference. It really is a symbiotic relationship that truly benefits not only the profession and the public, but the members who just engage as volunteers as well.
Well, it's great to hear that from the staff perspective, that this is meaningful for everyone involved as well, because we can't do it separately.
Definitely. You want to come to work feeling like what you do matters. And I think the work we do matters for sure. You mentioned contingencies earlier on, and it's been exploring the future of the profession, the new technology like artificial intelligence, and what the actuary of the future will look like. What do you think is in store for the profession? What will the actuary of the future truly look like in your view?
Well, you started off by mentioning AI. Actuaries love technology, and many are eager to master whatever the new tools are that come along and find a way to use them and have those tools work for them. In my mind, actuaries will harness the power of various types of AI or additional technologies, just as in the past we did with spreadsheets. While much has been written and spoken about the risks of bias, errors, and responsibility related to artificial intelligence, in my view, we have an additional risk that we haven't talked about, and that's overcomplicating our work with these new tools. As each new tool has come along, I have observed those that use the tool wisely and cleanly to improve processing time with appropriate controls around the work, of course. But there are some actuaries who have used new tools to overcomplicate their work without making it transparent and without having controls. And therefore, we lose the ability to make sure the work is accurate and meaningful.
Yes, it definitely serves a purpose. We just need to understand how the tool impacts our work as well as how it can enhance the work that we do. So that transparency and awareness is definitely going to be critical.
So as the profession evolves, how does the same evolution occur within the Academy as an organization? What do you see happening there, and what can the members expect?
Yes, I definitely think the Academy is evolving just like the profession is evolving. When we talk about AI and new technology, the Academy is really looking at new technology and how it evolves its own impact and performance for serving our mission, our members, and our stakeholders. There are a few areas I would like to highlight that will definitely be critical in the year ahead, but also going forward, that the organization will continue to drive forward. And I think members will definitely feel the impact from these. One, I mentioned it, investment in new technology. The technology that we are looking to implement will definitely enhance efficiency, collaboration, and value to our members' experience, and how staff is best supported to provide relevant, timely services and support. So we will continue to look at technology like the new website, internal tools, collaboration tools, new platforms that volunteers and members will have access to, as well as new benefits that are reliant on different and new technologies. Continued focus on member and volunteer engagement will be key. And not only just engagement, but also recognition. How do we recognize the work of our members? How do we recognize the commitment that our volunteers are putting forward for the profession? We want to do more to feature the diversity of our members and the unique stories and perspectives they bring as members from this rich actuarial community. Deepening stakeholder engagement. Our focus on stakeholders is really all about informing and helping to guide an understanding of the actual profession, the competencies that actuaries have, the knowledge and solutions that actuaries bring to real-life issues, and the importance of bringing a nonpartisan, objective, and balanced view to the public policy issues that impact us all. Lastly, a continued focus on expanding the knowledge and the competencies to deepen our impact and help flatten that corner on those issues, not only for our members and future members, but also for our staff and our talented individuals who are helping to support the future of the organization as it continues to evolve and grow its impact.
Wow. You're going to be doing a lot. Hope you have the energy.
It will be a busy year and a couple years ahead, but we have the right team. And I think we have a great set of volunteers who are ready and able to help us on that path forward. It's going to be a journey, but a worthy one for sure. Lisa, a big part of being president is being an ambassador for the profession and the organization. Are there any events or activities you're really looking forward to this year?
Well, some of them I've already done, and I have more to come. Am part of this outreach to other actuarial organizations, and I have attended the SOA, CCA, and CAS annual meetings, and I'll get to again this coming year. I got to as president-elect, and we'll get to as president, as well as some other meetings along the way, the Canadian Institute of Actuaries and the NAIC meetings. And so it is fun to travel the North America and see all these places and get to meet actuaries who are members of the Academy or not yet members of the Academy and get to spread the word.
As the executive director, I get to engage with a lot of members and prospective members. And the one thing I always notice is that this is a really diverse and rich community. As an actuary, as a casualty actuary, what do you want non-actuaries to know about actuaries and the profession?
Well, actuaries definitely care about the U.S. financial system. And you'd expect me to say that because we are the numbers people. And that can run from our own personal strategies about when to retire and when to take our benefits and how to do our own personal financial planning, or just how to solve problems like an article in contingencies last year relative to what's the best formulas for solving Wordle. So actuaries are all over the place in their problem-solving ability, and it's not just the U.S. financial system.
So Lisa, as we conclude, I wanted to just open it up to you to provide any parting thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners.
I want to keep it simple. Membership in the Academy is valuable to us as individuals, as actuaries. We each can improve our personal brand by touting our Academy membership and adding to our skills through volunteering for the Academy.
Lisa, on behalf of our over 20,000 members, thank you for your passion and commitment to the actual profession and the Academy. Your leadership and willingness to give back makes all the difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
This Actuary Voices was a conversation between Academy President Lisa Slotznick and our Executive Director, Bill Michaelson. My name is David Nolan, and I'm the regular host of Actuary Voices, the podcast from the American Academy of Actuaries. Please visit our website, actuary.org, for a wealth of information about the work that the Academy does. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well. And of course, please subscribe to this podcast on your preferred podcast platform.